Dipi dukkho Maranang pi dukkhang Appiyehi Sampayogo dukkho Piyehi Vimpayogo dukkho Yam piccang labhati Tang pi dukkhang Sankhittena Pancupadanakkhandha Dukkha Idang kho pana bhikkhave Dukkha samudayang ariya saccang Yayang tanha Pono bhavika Nandiraga sahagata Tantra tantra bhinandini Say
to pay my homage to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect to our two most venerable that are here in this platform. Again, my deep respect to Maha Sangha and greeting all friends in Dhamma around the world, around the globe. I am Sakantim, live from the state of Washington, USA, today's moderator. And welcome to Dhammika Life Dhammasandana program. This program is brought to you by the Dhammika Life Foundation, which is led by our most venerable Soktivi, who is currently resides at Wat Kamarat Potiram, Seattle, Washington State, USA. This program is hosted both languages, Khmer and English, switches interchangeably every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Cambodia and 6:30 a.m. Seattle time. And our main goal is to disseminate the Buddhist teaching, which is applicable in daily life to all people around the world. So today we are pleased to present you a very interesting topic called Dukkha Naroda Gamani Patipata Araya Sacha. Again, it is such a great privilege to have our two distinguished Dhamma speakers to join with us today. So please allow me to introduce them to you. Our first speaker is Venerable Derangala Kusalanana, former lecturer in Bali, in Department of Bali, in Sri Lanka, International Buddhist Academy, and a visiting lecturer in University of Paradanaya. He won the gold medal for his MA in Buddhist Studies in Kalanaya. He obtained an MD from Harvard University, Cambridge, USA. He is presently reading for his final year of PhD at University of Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. His most recent publication includes a book translation on Bhikkhuni ordinations from ancient India to contemporary Sri Lanka by Bhikkhu Analayo. Currently, he is residing in Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Venerable Daranga. And our second speaker is Venerable Gasapat Hun Kamara. He is the director and co-founder of International Cambodian Buddhist Center and David Rodrigo Child Development Center for Special Needs Children, Sri Lanka. He is currently a visiting lecturer to Sihanouk Raja Buddhist University, Cambodia. He is a meditation teacher and counselor. He teaches Buddhist psychology and Buddhist psychotherapy to Cambodian young people. He ordains in his BA special degree in psychology to Cambodian psychology from University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. He was awarded for the best result of postgraduate diploma in Buddhist studies. He was studies at Bali and Buddhist University, Sri Lanka. He obtained his MA from the same university. He is presently reading for his MPhil at University of Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. He is a co-translator of 600 pages book entitled Samatha Vipassana Meditation Techniques. Venerable is also an interpreter for Vipassana Dura Buddhist Center of the Kingdom of Cambodia, where he permanently resides. And welcome both, Venerable. And so let's start with our program. And I'm sorry, we have a little bit of I'm using my phone right now, so my picture doesn't look really, really straight. So I would like to start off with Venerable Darangala Kusanana. What is Dukkha Nirodha Gamani Patipata Arisacha according to Dhamma Jakkapavattana Sutta?
Thank you for the invitation, and good morning, good evening for people who are joining from different places. I think we missed Bhante TV's presence. Last time we had him, but I think you're doing a wonderful job already, managing with 2 months and also presenting the questions. And so what is Dukkha Nirodha Arya Satya? So that is the question. And the answer, of course, is found in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So let us first take a look at the literal meaning of these words. So Dukkha normally is translated as suffering, Nirodha as the cessation, Arya as noble, Satya as the truth. So this is the truth of, and also Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada. We missed 2 terms here. Gamini Patipada. So Patipada is the pathway, the practice. Gamini is that leading to the cessation. So the path leading to the cessation. So Gamini Patipada. It is a practice that needs to be cultivated from Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna. Virtues, stillness, concentration, and cultivating wisdom, so that you stay with awareness into what is happening within your own experience. So Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada is talking about the Eightfold Path. Katamancha Bhikkhave Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipadari Satchan. So the Buddha himself is asking, what is the path leading to the cessation of Dukkha, cessation of Dukkha? And having said that, the Buddha says, Ayameva Rio Tangiko Mako, this very eightfold path. There are 8 limbs in this path, and that leads to the cessation. So this is like a basic introduction. When you ask that question, I think we can perhaps explore the contents in detail once Bante Kassab also has added his input.
Thank you. Is it Venerable Darangala? Is it synonymous with Magga Arya Sacha?
Absolutely, it is. When you talk about Magga Arya Satcha, it is directing at the path. Magga refers to the path. So here we are talking about the path, the fourth truth in the noble truths. So the fourth truth is all about the kind of the path that we all should be in, and it starts with the right view. Without having a right view, samma ditthi, all the other paths will not align harmoniously in somebody's practice.
Thank you. Can we call it Majjhima Patipada or the middle way?
Absolutely. So we do call it the middle way for a number of reasons. First, in the Buddha's time, the real account here is that people were, going after two extremes. One of the extremes is that people believing that there is a permanent self, so that, people continuously being born again and again, and there is no escape from it. So this, the Buddha said, one of the extremes that people fall into. And another extreme is to, think that there is no life after death, or there is no life after several deaths, like several births and deaths. And that kind of a person falls into indulging, only indulgence. So these two extremes leads to different kind of practices. Like in the first case, when you believe that you can end, like one of the practices people chose was to continue giving suffering to this body, like self mortification. When self mortification has been taken as a choice to kind of dry off all the defilements, this is causing tons of issues in terms of practice. The Buddha says, self mortification. Some people may choose that, and also indulging. Some people may choose that as well. When people have chosen these two extremes, they don't find the middle ground. They don't find the middle ground, and the Buddha says, just don't go to any of these extremes. Come to the middle ground. There you'll find your magga, the path. So this is called the Majjhima Patipada for that reason. And also take, for example, someone like a drug addict. If he has to first understand what his problem is. He has to come to the middle ground before he is helped. If he is in one of these extremes, even a computer game addict, if he is in one of the extremes, you are not able to help that person. He first need to come to a realization that you don't go to one of these extremes, you come to the middle ground. In the middle ground, you find your helpline. So the helpline here is the Magga, the Majjhima Patipada, the middle path.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to Venerable Kassapa on camera. What is the meta way, and how many of it? Could you expand a little bit?
Thank you, sister, for the question, and venerable sirs and friends around the globe. Venerable Kusulanyana, the moderator. Yeah, so the elaboration of middle path has been descriptively elaborated by Venerable Kusulayana in a very insightful way. So, and it is well known that there are 8 factors within the Eightfold Path. So, according to the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So the first one is, everyone, right understanding, right view. Then it can be like, right view, and then right intention, and then right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So these are the 8 factors incorporated in we call so-called Eightfold Path. And let me add, like, the reason that it is called the middle way, as well, in addition to what Venerable Kusulanyan has mentioned, is so it called right because it avoids too extreme and will lead the one who practice it. That is another interpretation. So that's all from me, sister.
Thank you. So I want to ask Venerable Derangala, this Maga Are Sacha is to be developed, but how?
Can you say that again, please? Magare Sacha
Is to be developed, but how?
Yeah,
How?
exactly. This is called Bhavetabba in the Buddha's terms. So, and the Buddha, once he has developed it, he said Bhavitam, he cultivated it. So, we use different words like cultivating, developing, and it's quite close to Bhavana, in which we also cultivate our mind. It is like a flower plantation where you need to cultivate the plants and wait until the flowers are fully bloomed. In some of the sutras, the Buddha says, sometimes the when the work has been properly done, sometimes you only need to pull leaves here and there, and then you just maintain it. That's the work some people have to do when they have cultivated it. So beginning from Sammaditthi, toward the end, you find Samma Samadhi. You can see, starting from coming to right view, it directly purifies your thoughts because you are in right view. The view here is that there is this suffering, which is, sansaric. We are bound to sansara, and you find the cycle of suffering. Now you are coming to a little view that maybe I will be born as a poor animal, somebody who is in misery, and you don't want that to happen to you. So you kind of try to take action. In taking action, you come to realize, what is my escape? Then you realize my escape is to investigate further whether there is, any cause for this kind of sansaric suffering. When you look for the cause, you find that craving aspect of the mind leads to this kind of, endless cycle of suffering. Every moment we create a world, and now you find whether there is any ending of it, drying, kind of ending of this craving. And then you find the other truth, that is that this suffering can be ceased. And now you come to understand, how do I do it? And then you find, oh, the Buddha has taught the middle path, Majjhima Patipada, and let me cultivate that. So now your thoughts are being cleansed and you are focusing on Samma Sankappa, right thoughts, thoughts become purified. When thoughts are purified, your words become purified. When words have become purified, your actions, livelihood, and your mindfulness, and all of this become purified. You see, there is this linking connection and also gradual development, cultivation that emerge just by coming to right view. So I think we can talk about each of these factors separately and then see how an individual can cultivate them. For example, when I said right thoughts, um, after coming to the right view, or understanding the four truths as, realities, having come to, know that these truths exist and that we can work on them, then your thoughts become, these thoughts, like you weren't escaping thoughts. How do I escape this? These are called nekhamma sankappa. And then how do I, stay unagitated? These are called avyapada sankappa. Then the thought comes, how do I stay non-harming anybody? These are called avihimsa sankappa. These come naturally to the person who has come to the right view. When you have these three kinds of thoughts, sankappas have been developed. As a result, you speak gently, your language becomes clean. You begin to talk nicely. You realize that you have clean thoughts, therefore, the words you are speaking, you have responsibility on them. You don't tell lies, you don't become slanderous in your speech, you don't become abusive in your speech. You see how freeing that, you are in the middle path. You don't get so much agitated with any of the thoughts, and you don't feel like reacting to them because you don't find it meaningful anymore. So I think if I go on, I think the whole subject will be covered. So let me stop here because I want to hear from the Kasuf as well.
Okay. Venerable Kasabat, do you have any more to give us some more insights of that for us?
Yeah. So the question is, the Eightfold Path is to be cultivated, to be developed, and how is the question?
Yes.
So let us refer to the one discourse. It is called Maha Chattarika Sutta, and this is the explanation how the Eightfold Path is cultivated, is developed, and up to the level of liberation and true knowledge. As Venerable Pusulayana said, so the right view is very, very important. And according to that discourse, there are three main, factors that play together, that function around and circle around each and every factors in Eightfold Path. For example, the first one is right view, and second one is right effort, and the final one is right mindfulness. So the role and how to practice is, as Venerable Pusulayana said, we have to build up kinds of right understanding that this is the suffering, and this is a rising of the suffering, this is the cessation of the suffering, and this is the path leading to the suffering. And beside this understanding, basically you have to cultivate of kinds of right understanding that there is giving, there is offering, there is rebirth, there is father, there is mother, and so on. So simply you have to build up that everything is under the law of karmic formation. What goes around comes around. So, and you have to build kinds of understanding that whatever you do will come back to you, and the entire process is not controlled or manipulated by the external forces like God or divine being. So everything is within us. Like, so I would use the word like it's kind of humanistic. It's not creationism. That everything is within us. Human is, responsible and accountable for whatever he's doing. So this is that's what that one has to create kinds of understanding of first of all, and then yes, when you have kinds of understanding, you have to put everything into the practice. And I mean, let me stop. Yeah, we can continue. I mean, you have question.
Okay, so to this question's also to both venerables. So should one practice each factor separately or together? We can start with you, Venerable Kasapat.
Yeah, let me bring back again the fact in the Mahachattarika Sutta, you cannot practice these eightfold paths separately. Okay, because Buddha mentioned that the right view is the forerunner, and how the right resolve or right thought become another forerunner, and how the right mindfulness come another forerunner. So let me say it in very simple words that Buddha said this. Uh, the right view is the forerunner. How? Let me take a right thought. So then the right view will understand and will differentiate and distinguish. So these are the right thoughts. These are the wrong thoughts. So you will reach that stage. So this is the importance of right view. Secondly, uh, you put an effort, to abandon the wrong thoughts, and you will enter into the right thoughts. So this is the role of the right effort. And the final one, you have to be mindful what are the wrong. And so I'm sorry, you have to be mindful of abandoning the wrong thoughts, and you have to be mindful to remain in right thoughts. So from this perspective, and it goes up to the right livelihood. So I mean, from the Sutta discourse itself, it is clear that you cannot practice it separately. You have to practice together. But from another perspective, to be honest, and Venerable Kusulayana know that the most famous and greatest meditation master in Sri Lanka, Venerable Nauyune Aryadhamathera, he interpreted in a very specific way how we can cultivate the Eightfold Path together. When when you offer the lines to the monk, when you listen to the Dhamma talk, when you offer flower to the monk, when you pay homage to the monk, when you pay homage to the Buddha, when you reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, how you cultivate it. But the way he interprets is very profound, because he take the interpretation of Abhidhamma. So let me say this. So like you know that there are 52 mental factors in, we call it, in Cetasikas. And so the mental factor plays in Samadhi is, we call it Panya. So it is beautiful mental factors. And then right thoughts, it is Vitakka. Okay, it is Vitakka. And then right speech, right action, and right livelihood, we call it abstinence mental factors, Virati, Cetasika. And then the final one, Sati, it's beautiful mental factor again. And the final one is Samadhi, it's Ekagata mental factor. So this is the example from him. Like when you are offering a flower to the Buddha, you have a right understanding. Your panya arises that what I'm doing is for liberation myself, accumulating merits in order to attain enlightenment. So you have beloved kinds of faithfulness, Shraddha, Panya, and believing in the Buddhas, because Shraddha is the basic stage of wisdom. And then at that time, you are not manipulated by the wrong thoughts, kinds of sensual pleasure or anger or hatred and so on. So you are full of calmness. Your thought is pure. And he added that, so when, for example, even Sri Lankan Buddhists, even Cambodian Buddhists, when you offer something, you might recite something, right? So your words are pure. You don't engage in, four kinds of speeches like telling lies and so on. So your speech or action is pure. And when you do it mindfully, remain focused on whatever you are doing and try to remain in the present. So your mindfulness is cultivated. And the final one, your concentration. You remain focused and you try not to react to any kinds of disturbances, no anger, no, no, like we call it, no laziness, no skeptical doubts, and so on. So what I want to say, it can be cultivated, it can be developed together, not separately from a Buddhist point of view, and they are interconnected. That's all from me.
Thank you. And Venerable Durangala, would you like to put some more in? Have any more thoughts for that? How it's how the Noble Eight Path, and should one practice each factor separately or together?
If I ask you a question, like, do you think, if take ocean and the rivers, do you think ocean remains individual and the rivers separate? I think these are all connected. So I think that answers this question. If the Nibbanic ocean remains, then the path, all these little rivers, come and feed the final result. So I would say nobody can practice them separately. There's no individual who can practice them separately, because when you begin to come to right understanding, the rest come, the rest follow. And this was kind of well explained by Bhante Kassapa as well, that, where it is continuous, that it is all linked to the next. And it is a transformation that happens within an individual, covering many aspects of our existence in the world. Our language, the way we speak is affected. The way we think is affected. The way we behave in the society affected. So all of it, sila, samadhi, and prajna, they need to be cultivated together, and they get cultivated together as well. So
Thank you. Very good analogy. I like that. So I wanted, while you're at the on the spot, I want to go ahead and see. I want to ask you some more. What are the magas and palas, and how many of them, and how can one practice to achieve them?
So we call magga the paths, and phala the fruitions. So we are talking about paths and fruitions here. And we have 4 paths and then 4 fruitions. So these are magga and phalas. This is how we have the 8 kinds of noble individuals, noble beings. So the first one is stream enterer. So it is a person, you just imagine someone just jumping into to a flood and then trying to, swim against the current. That kind of an individual is an stream enterer. Everybody goes with the current, but now you have entered the stream and you are swimming against against all odds. So that when the person is on the path, so he's on the path, and then when the person has reached the fruition, that you have won the result of it, then you have the phala, the fruition. So each of these has the path and the fruition on either side. And now the second one is once returner. This kind of a person is on the path when he's working on certain fetters. I can explain the fetters in detail, but let me just go into the paths and fruitions here. So the first one I said is stream enterer. The second one is non-returner. The third one is second one is once returner. The third one is non-returner. The fourth is an arahant. So these are four paths and four fruitions as well. Stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, and an arahant. So you have four paths and four fruitions depending on where the individual is practicing. And these are linked with the 10 fetters in Buddhism, starting from self-view, doubt, and wrongful practices. When one has abandoned these, one is on the stream enterer path, and when they have, reached that ending result, they are on the fruition. And then you need to work on two other things, such as, kama, raga, and patiga, sensual desire and aversion. When you have lessened them, the degree to which they exist in your mind is low, then you have come to the once returner, that you come to the sensual world only once. And when you have, reached to a state where, these are lessened, and now you have reached the fruition. And when you have completely abandoned them, including, rupa raga, arupa raga, when these have been also abandoned, then you have come to a place where you become, rupa raga is like desire for rupa forms. Arupa raga is desire for, immateriality, like arupa non-forms, I would say. So this is a full scope, starting from Sakkaya Ditthi, Vichikicha, and Silabhata Paramasa, the first three fetters. Then we have the Kamaraga Patiga, the next two fetters. Then you have the Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Uddacha, Avijja. And these fetters are being worked on by an individual who is really coming closer to the ending of the cycle. In that, when both desires for Ruparaga and Aruparaga, materiality and non-materiality, they do not exist, then they kind of become closer to becoming an arahant. When they have completely abandoned, including the mana, conceit, and restlessness, or a kind of uddacha and avijja, ignorance, when these have been abandoned, then that individual has reached to the, completed the path and reached to the fruition of arahanthood. So little before, when they are working on ruparaga, aruparaga, and even before when they are working on kamaraga, patiga, when the kamaraga and patiga, sensual desire and aversion, have completely abandoned, they don't find any meaning of returning to the sensual world. So they have become non-returners. They don't return to these, flesh, sensual stuff. They don't find it any useful. So you see, the paths and fruitions are connected with the level of understanding and abandoning an individual has in their practice.
Sadhu, sadhu. That's so interesting. Thank you. And Venerable Gassapa, do you have any more to add on that? What are the magas and and phalas, and how many of them? Well, do you have anything to add on for along for that? Oh, can you hear me?
Bhante Kassab is muted.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Oh yes, absolutely. What are the magas and phalas, and how many of them, and how can one practice uh, to achieve them?
Okay, so the description of the Magga and Pala has been given by Ramal Kusulanyano already. So let me move to the part that how one should practice in order to realize them. So it is very broad subject to be discussed, to be honest. And Honorable Kusulanyano knows very well. But let me remind you again, like the brief description leading to achieve that Magas and Palas. So according to the Rathavini Sutta, and there are 7 paths that we have to go through, we have to practice, and they are eightfold path, and in another term is Sila Samadhi Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. So, but from the Buddhist perspective, from the Rathavini Sutta, you have to purify your morality. Then after, but to be honest, but they are interconnected. You cannot wait until yourself to be purified in terms of morality, then practice concentration. No. So the concentration, at the first stage, concentration, samadhi, and morality sila are operated, interchangeably. They are interconnected. So first you have to purify your morality, then you have to practice, you have to cultivate your concentration. So you have to, practice or cultivate in order to gain at least the first jhana or second jhana in order to practice vipassana. After that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And then and after that, you have to go to the purification of you. And as Honorable Kuslana said that you will understand that there is no I, there is no mind, there is no myself. And by having understood that clearly, you are wrong view that Sakai Ditti will be relegated. Then you move on step by step. You move to Magga Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, and you will reach a path that that is a path that is not a right path. And you will have rich kinds of, when you reach the stream entry, you know that how many fetters to be has been eradicated, and how many fetters to be eradicated. So you practice again and again. So simply, it's a mental object that that are cultivated, and the Magga and Pala arise. Even we use two terms, that Magga and Pala, but in practice, in reality, they arise together, but in a very most expressive way that we cannot catch and understand by our own senses organ. So finally you reach the purification of by knowledge and vision. We call it Jnana Dasana Visuddhi. So this is what the fact elaborated in the Rathavini Sutta. But let me bring your attention to another discourse. We call it Kundaliya Sutta. The Brahmin Kundali asked Buddha how he gained the true knowledge and liberation. And but let me recall, those factors. So it starts like this. So you have to train in sense in sense restraint, and then when the sense restraint is cultivated, is developed, the three kinds of good conduct will come into being. So when the three kinds of good conducts are cultivated and developed, the four foundation of mindfulness will come to being. So when the four foundation of mindfulness are cultivated and developed, the seven awakening factors, the Saptabhujanga, will come into being. So when the seven awakening factors are cultivated and developed, the true knowledge and the liberation will be achieved. So here it is where the Magapala are achieved, are attained. But in another way, I mean, Buddha tried to connect them together. That we cannot, as I mentioned earlier, we cannot practice separately. We have to practice together. So this is one should practice in order to attain the Magga and Pala. So that's all from my sister.
Thank you. Lovely explanations. While you're on the spot, Venerable Kassapa, do you have any last words for our audience?
Okay, so thank you, sister. Besides what we have been elaborating, what I want to say, like, you all are very fortunate and to know to learn the Dhamma, and especially about the Eightfold Path. And within this, short period of time, it is tough for us, both Honorable Kusalan, to elaborate, in a profound way, in an insightful way of Eightfold Path. But at least we did, our best. And what I want to say, you can learn more, and you are fortunate to listen to the great teaching of the Buddha. And I am also very fortunate, very, honored and very pleased to share what we know in a short period of time. And the thing is, let us practice as much as we can, wherever you do, even you pay homage to the Buddha, even you respect to your mom, even you, whatever you do, as I told you, you can cultivate these Eightfold Path and step by step in order to liberate ourselves from the suffering. So that's all from me, and thank you.
Thank you. And Venerable Derangala, do you have any last words that you'd like to give to us, to our audience, please?
Absolutely. So let me go to Samma Vayama, Sati, and Samadhi. I think without talking about them, this discussion will be incomplete. Samma Vayama refers to making an effort to prevent arising unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome stuff in your mind, and also to cultivate the wholesome, stuff, wholesome qualities, kusala qualities. So this is between kusala and akusala. So my name is also Kusala, so it's my responsibility to cultivate these, and it's everybody's responsibility to cultivate the wholesome qualities. So when you cultivate them, when you also prevent the arising unwholesome aspects, dhammas in you, then your mind becomes so clean and pure, and this leads the way to practicing samasati, right mindfulness. And you practice it as kayanupassana, the contemplation of the body; vedananupassana, you observe the feelings; chittanupassana, you observe different mind movements and the moments; and you then cultivate dhammanupassana, you establish mindfulness in terms of mental phenomena. So when you do that, you are actually, seeing the light from darkness, that you see some samadhi aspects, like first jhana arises, second jhana arises, third jhana arises. You make your, it's like a flower blooming. every layer of petal opens to another layer of petals, and then inside is more fragrance, more delightful, more delicate layers, and you stay perfectly still without you getting involved, so that your life blossoms into the final piece that you aspire to achieve. So, with that, I think we can conclude the discussion.
Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu. Beautiful. Both venerable, beautiful analogy and beautiful explanations. Thank you for your insight. So before we end our live shows, I'd like to share the merit from this Dhamma Dana with all living beings in the whole universe. May all be happy and peaceful. Once again, thank you so much to our honorable speakers for sharing with us today. Finally, I'd like to express sincere thanks to the Mega Life teams of founders, directors, advisors, members, admin, and technical team for providing such a wonderful support to make this program possible. And last but not least, thank you everyone for joining us and following our live show as far as always. And now let us spend a few minutes practicing Metta Bhavana, loving kindness meditations, which is will be instructed by Bante Kasapat Kamara. Thank you and goodbye. Our Metta meditation begins.
Hello everyone. Let us practice loving friendliness meditation for oneself. Self-loving friendliness meditation is the first section of Metta meditation. Self-loving friendliness meditation is designed to direct you to happily take care of yourself, to honestly forgive yourself, to truly accept yourself without conditions. Before starting, please find a very comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Relax your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your entire body. Please slowly take a very deep breath 3 times. When it is done, let your breath flow as naturally as it does. Observe your breath without judgment, reactions, and criticism. Just merely observe it as the way it is while you are listening to my Pali Metta chanting. Aham Now, please create a very tender smile on your face. Visualize your happy and smiling face. You are very happy person with smiling face. Please keep smiling with honest heart, because you are going to bless yourself. Please be aware of the phrases which I am going to recite, and let yourself honestly feel the real meanings of the phrases. May I be well and happy. May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anger. May I be free from physical and mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. Now, take your right hand and place it on your chest, and you can mentally repeat after me. In this home, we are family. We live under the same shelter, so we must be kind to each other, be compassionate to each other, be friendly to each other, help each other, respect one another. Be happy every day. Keep smiling with honest heart. Be grateful. Be positive. Forgive even when it's really hard. Before open your eyes, please take again a very deep breath 3 times. Thank you. May you be well and happy.